Guys, today we're actually going to rank the artifacts. We're not gonna do the legendaries today because there are a lot of legendaries as well, a lot of epics and rares. We're gonna have the rares and epics, which are already 41, and we're gonna rank them on a tier list. We're gonna grade them rather than just say this is okay, this is not okay. So we're gonna see kind of like what is worth it the most. When you are getting a dupe epic champion, the main question that most of you have, Skratch, what artifacts should I pick now? So I feel like this list should help a lot of you guys out there to kind of like understand how you should prioritize the artifacts. Now, just a quick intermission before we move over to the tier list, guys. We do have a giveaway for Dragonheir Silent Gods, and it's being hosted in my Discord. The link is in the description down below or in the pinned comment. All you gotta do is join the Discord, of course, be a subscriber to the channel. If you want to smash a like, smash a like. If you don't want to smash a like, don't smash a like. Basically, you will have a chance to win 3 Helialite dice, 3 Scholar Scrolls, and 380 Wire Marrow. 10 people will have a chance to win this. Now, the reason why I'm doing it in Discord, guys, is because I need to send you a direct message with a code that will be redeemed on your account to collect the rewards. And it's almost impossible to do that on YouTube. So the reason why I'm doing it in Discord is because of that mainly, you know. And when you are joining the Discord, you will be prompted to this page. You won't see anything in Discord except this. Read the rules, react with the emoji, and that will gain you access to the server, and you will unlock the rest of the channels. Right here, we do have the giveaway hype. That's where you're gonna have to come in and react with the emoji to the giveaway. This will be on for 24 hours from this moment, guys, and we will have 10 winners. On top of it, we do have a lot of awesome people right here talking about Dragonheir, you know, news, guides, helping people out with different dungeons, flexing your summons or whatever else you guys might have. And yeah, that being said, good luck to all of you, and let's dive into the tier list. We're quickly gonna try to kind of like talk a bit about them to see kind of like what they're good at, you know, what exactly they are doing. If by any chance there are a couple of ones that I can't really remember them from the top of my head what they're doing, we're gonna come back to the game and we're gonna go over their skills, you know, over the description rather than the skill, and then we're gonna head over back to the page right here. This is how we are going to grade them: S, A, B, C, D, like in school. We're not gonna go all the way to F, guys, because I feel like D should be enough to say that this is a bad one. It's not a good one, you know. So starting straight off the back, when you are getting your very first dupe epic champion in Dragonheir Silent Gods, the very first artifact you should pick is the Crown of the Unclean, and this will go all the way up to the S tier. The reason for it, guys, there are only 2 artifacts in the entire game that will give you the possibility to land decreased defense on the enemy. Now, the epic version will only go on a single target. It will have a slightly higher chance to land the defense down, and it will be the smaller version of decreased defense, which probably is a 30% rather than a 60%. But overall, this will increase your damage quite a bit when we are talking about bosses, vortex, dungeons. So this is definitely the #1 pick that you kind of like want to get. Then, in my opinion, we have quite a few different ones for damage, right? So once you're settled with this, the main thing that you kind of like are trying to boost is the damage. And the very first epic artifact I would personally pick is this one right here. So you have the Eyeball of the Giant, which will increase the ultimate damage, and it will give you attack percentage and flat attack too in terms of stats. So that will boost the damage significantly on your characters. Mainly the ones that are dealing most of the damage with the ultimate skill rather than the battle skill. For that, we actually have the Manticore statue, which is very, very powerful too. Now, some people might disagree with me on this and be like, well, Skratch, I actually prefer to pick the Scarab, or maybe I want to take the shield, you know. The Scarab, I feel like, is a very, very important one for tanks. It gives you defense percentage and HP, flat HP. The main idea with this is that when your HP drops under a specific amount, this artifact will quickly give you a shield that will help your tank to stay alive. Not only that this is powerful for arena, but it's just very powerful as well for PvE content. Think about the Grave of Venom. You're going in with Flurbart and Horus. You might not be able to survive with your tank. Your tank might get obliterated. If you're giving him the Scarab, that will actually shield him quickly and that will actually keep you alive for longer. It will allow most probably your healer to have enough time to use the ultimate or the battle skill to heal your character, you know, and that's actually pretty well. It will be very helpful. Now there are a few different artifacts, and this is not necessarily in the order on how I would pick them, but I will rank them as S tier because they are overall very solid ones, you know. And the Manticore statue is doing a very similar thing with the Eyeball of the Giant, but this actually enhances the battle skill. So if you have a character like Lorentil, for example, which doesn't deal damage with the ultimate, but deals damage with the battle skill, this is perfect for him. Characters like the Ice Blast heroes that are the new additions in Season 2, they benefit so much from the Manticore. So this is definitely a very good artifact that will boost your damage a lot, you know. So 100%, don't sleep on it, is a solid one. Then we have the Music Box. Music Box is so game changing early on because it gives you crit rate and it gives you attack, you know. And that crit rate, it helps you so freaking much, guys, to have it on. And this will boost the damage when you are dealing damage under a shield buff. So if you're using Adolphus, if you're using Nathaniel, if you're using your Traveler on Frost, you know, and you're constantly having shield, this is a very good artifact for some of your characters that will get their damage boosted significantly, you know. So definitely don't sleep on that. Moving over to a few different ones which are not necessarily meant for damage, we do have the Incest Burner or the Lamp, how everybody kind of likes to call it. This one will give you 10% ultimate energy after you're using your ultimate skill. And on top of it, it will give you HP percentage, flat HP, sorry, and it will give you accuracy. So accuracy is going to be very important. Early game, towards mid game, I feel like we are struggling with accuracy. So having an artifact that will give you a flat amount of accuracy on your characters is very important, you know. And not just that, but gaining the 10% ultimate energy, I feel like is definitely worth it of an S tier, you know. Then we do have the bomb right here. Is very powerful for characters that deal damage based on a derivative damage, you know. So this will actually not allow your characters to crit, and it will increase the derivative damage that they deal. And that is very powerful on champions like Shelter. Champions that really do damage based on a derivative damage with Enlightenment, high attack, and that's actually boosting the damage by so much. So 100% an S tier artifact right there. Then we have this one, which again is very unique. I actually forgot the name for it, so let's quickly just check it out, because Harpy Snail, there we go. So the Harpy Snail, guys, will actually give you extra damage on your passive. So you have characters like Eli, for example, you know. Eli is nice to have crit rate. You don't want to give him the bomb because, hey, you're missing out on damage. So Eli is the rare poisoner, by the way, and a lot of characters have a interesting passive that will boost their damage. So you can use that to boost the damage from passive. It will actually increase the damage from passive, and it will give you attack and attack percentage as a stat, which is very nice to have on it, you know. Moving over to the next one, guys, I feel like we do have the shield, which this is an S tier in my opinion. This will reduce the AoE damage, and in some cases is very powerful. In some cases it can be more useful than the Scarab, in my opinion, because it will just do the job better, you know. So if we're quickly gonna check, just so you guys kind of like get a grasp of it, the Platinum Knight Shield gives you defense and HP percentage, reduces the wearer's AoE damage taken by all the way up to 20%. So when you're doing fights against the world bosses, the Chaos Shadow ones, some of them, they have 2-3 AoE attacks, you know. That's when you want to use the Platinum Knight Shield on your characters, or even for Feymander, for the Pillar of Trials, even against some specific bosses in dungeons. It is actually very important. Then if we're gonna go back to our list right here, guys, we have quite a few different ones that are nice. I feel like they're not necessarily all worthy of the S tier, So we're gonna start with a couple of different ones that we're gonna put them on the A, and then we're gonna see if some other ones are really worthy of S tier. You know, we're gonna come back to it. You know, if we are talking about the Antiara's Tiara, this will give you enlightenment and HP, if I'm not mistaken, and this increases the shield value. Now, I love using this on Adolphus, for example, but I feel like it's so limited on what you can do with it, you know. I do think it's an A. There are not many that do it, you know, and gaining 15% extra shield and the stats that you are gaining from it, I feel like it is pretty good overall, you know. Definitely not a bad one. Then we do have the candle. This will give you resistance, will give you HP, and it will give you 10% energy for your battle skill. Not a bad one. I feel like I'm using this mainly when I'm trying to get higher resistance on my characters, you know, and that's helpful. Then we have the mirror. The mirror will increase the healing of the character that is putting the healing on your team, and it will increase the healing when the characters that receive the healing are under a specific amount of HP. That's when their healing gets increased. So it's a bit of a conditional artifact, and I'm not necessarily the biggest fan. I do prefer actually the book over the mirror, because the book doesn't really have a condition whatsoever. It's only a rare artifact, so it's pretty hard to put it as an S tier. But I definitely think is a A tier, and it gives you overall quite a bit of value, you know, and it's a decent one. Then we do have the disc right here, and this is very similar with the Eyeball of the Giant. It will give you attack percentage, it will give you HP, so that's the reason why it's on A tier rather than S, and it will increase the damage dealt by your ultimate skill. So I feel like this is definitely a pretty decent one, so in the A tier. Then we have the pipe. This will give you enlightenment, and it will increase the damage. I feel like this is the damage from the passive too, if I'm not mistaken, is the damage from the passive. Let's just quickly check that out. Meditator's no, it gives you extra enlightenment. Okay, extra enlightenment, my bad. So it doesn't increase the damage from the passive. So this is not actually an A tier because of it. I don't know why I remember that it gives you that. I have too many things open on my screen right there, and I'm kind of like in between B and C with this one, honestly. Having the enlightenment, the accuracy, and the other stats is okay, but it's not really doing anything too special. They're just stats, you know. So I feel like those stats could potentially be acquired fairly easy from gear, you know. Then we have the artifacts that are tied to elemental affinity. Those ones, they will increase the chance of landing a debuff. And while I think that they are okay-ish, they would be probably the last ones on the list that I would purchase, you know. And in my opinion, they're only a C tier, you know. So we're gonna put them all in here, because that's kind of like where they belong, in my opinion. I don't think that they will actually give us more value than that, you know. I feel like C tier will do for them. They're all doing the same thing. They're just each one of them for each different element, basically, you know. Then we have the banner. The banner will increase the defense when you have allies in close proximity. So this is actually a nice one, and I think it's not worthy of an A tier, in my opinion. I would rather give it a B tier. So let me just quickly show you why I'm saying what I'm saying here, so you're kind of like on the same page with me. So Banner of Oath gives you HP, percentage, and defense, and it gives you extra defense when the allies are around you. It's not a bad artifact to have, but there's so many better epic ones for tanks, you know, which are actually giving you quite a bit of value rather than just extra stats. When you're just gaining extra stats from them, I feel like they're not necessarily as impactful. Then we have the Volcanic Disc. We already covered it. The Ancestor's Bone. This will give you extra crit damage. Now, the problem with this one, it gives you attack as a flat stat, and it gives you HP percentage. Last time when I checked, Dragonheir didn't really have characters dealing damage based on a HP only, you know, to really make the most out of it. So this, in my opinion, is only a C. It's not even moving higher to B, you know. It's just because of how the stats are working on them, you know. That's kind of like the main thing with them. And I'm curious if I missed the Radiance one in here for it, just by the looks of it. Let me just quickly check that as well on the tier list, the epic ones. The Life Spindle, right? Yeah. Ah, no, the Life Spindle, that's something else. Okay. So the Life Spindle, when the wearer uses their battle skill to heal allies other than themselves, they have a 50% chance to heal an additional ally with this much percentage of this ally's max HP. So this is not that amazing, honestly. It kind of looked like the Radiance one, so I was just gonna double check it. Is an okayish one, but I would put it at a C tier as well, you know. Let me know as well, guys, if you have any sort of different opinions in the comments, because right now we are actually live on Twitch while we are doing this, so I'm kind of like a bit more focused on it. Then you have the cloak. The cloak gives you a shield for the beginning of the fight, right? And I just feel like these are just not worth it, man. I feel like they're really weak sauce, you know, and there are quite a few of them that will go in the D tier, but I'm not really a fan of those. We have the Gyro's Disc. That's how I like to call it. And that is actually interesting, the Dancing Gyro. You are getting extra attack speed, attack, and defense. It's not going to be ranked as a very good one, but it's amazing on Dauntless heroes. You know, when you want to have a very high attack speed, that's actually going to be very helpful. So I do think it deserves to be at a B tier, you know. It's kind of like limited on what it can do, right? It doesn't work on a general scale. I feel like that's another thing that you need to take in consideration when you are making a tier list for the artifacts. It's just the general scale, how many characters can actually get a benefit out of this, you know. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Then we do have, for example, the Mask. The Mask will bring damage reduction based on how many buffs you have on your team. Now, I've seen a lot of people quickly jump on it thinking that is one of the better choices as an artifact, and I do disagree with it. I feel like it's only a B tier, and the reason for it is conditional. And you need to have a lot of buffs to kind of like fully get the maximum potential out of it. I think it's 4 buffs if I'm not mistaken, and I'll be honest, it's not very easy to have 4 buffs at all time on your team. It's actually very unlikely, and once you are dropping the buffs, 5 stacks actually, you know, so 5 buffs, you're gonna get nothing out of it. You're not gonna have anything whatsoever. The shield does not count as a regular buff either, so keep that in mind too, you know. So it's not like you're just bringing that in, you know. But as an idea, you know. Then we have Effigy of Divine Ear. I actually feel like this is a decent one, but what I don't like about it is that you're getting defense and attack percentage rather than attack and attack. So the wearer gains 10% ultimate energy after killing an enemy. This effect can only be triggered once every 7 to 2 seconds. So if you have an AoE damage dealer and you're killing 5 enemies, you're not gonna get 50% ultimate energy. The reason why I think this is a decent one is because you're gaining the attack. What you will find slowly is that you won't have enough artifacts to equip on your damage dealers, and that's when some different ones like this come in play. And I see some guys here in chat are saying that the banner was broken and gives you a huge defensive boost. It gives you a 25% defense boost on your stats. So the banner itself, how I mentioned, is not a bad artifact, okay? It's just only giving you defense, okay? So the wearer obtains 25% extra defense when there are allies around them, okay? That's the main thing with it. So it's nice to have the extra defense, don't get me wrong. But when you compare this with the Scarab, which actually helps you to stay alive, I would pick the Scarab all day long over this. Plus, the Scarab will give you defense percentage instead of the HP percentage. So it will give you 45% defense from a max one, you know? That's kind of like how I'm looking at it. It's not a bad artifact to have to use on your Gyrius, for example, to have even more defense on the character. is okay, you know. It's definitely not is not the worst or anything like that. Then what else we have left from here? We have the Lunar Harp, which I kind of forgot what it does exactly. Increases the wearer's success rate of inflicting buffs or debuffs using ultimate skill. All the way up to 15%, you're gaining accuracy and HP. So this, again, it kind of like goes back to the C tier, where we go with the other ones for each one of the elemental affinity. I don't necessarily think that it will be such a huge value. These are good when you are using characters that don't have scrolls, but even like that, they're not really increasing your chance from 75 to 100. They're only increasing it from 75 to 90%. So you still have a bit of a room to fail, you know? And it's the same with the arrow. What I do like about them, especially if you don't have many epic artifacts, is that they give you accuracy as a stat. So that alone kind of like makes them worthy in a way or another, you know? So that will basically increase the chance of on the battle skill. The harp does it for the ultimate skill, and the arrow does it for the battle skill, you know? Then we do have a few different ones, which I kind of like want to check in-game, just to be more spot on. The Troll's Heart. This one gives you defense and resistance, and the wearer obtains extra HP. You know, like, is that enough to use as an artifact? I don't personally think that it really brings in a lot of value, and this will go right here on D tier in my opinion. Then we have the cloak. I think the new cloak is the one that gives you the resistance, if I'm not mistaken, right? Which is the epic one. So let's just quickly go to that one. Ah, no, this is the damage one. Okay, so 100-eyed robe. When the wearer takes damage, for every buff on the attacker, the damage is reduced by a specific amount. Now again, they will have a lot of buffs sometimes in arena. Sometimes they won't, you know. So again, it kind of like becomes a bit conditional. But most of the times, the enemies will have buffs when they will deal damage on you, you know. So I definitely think that this one is not the worst, but it's not the best either. It's kind of like the other one where you have buffs, you don't have buffs, so it becomes a bit more conditional, you know. This brings you damage reduction as well in a way or another, and I kind of like find it hard to put it on B. I'm kind of like a B- in my opinion, a C+, you know. So I'm gonna leave it on B because my list is full on the C here, but I'm kind of like in between with this one, you know. And the banner B tier, no way, so good for tanks in your opinion. I'm not saying it's not, but do you think it's better than some of the S tier? Maybe we put a banner on A tier, you know. But I really maybe I feel with a A-, a B+ on the banner, you know. So again, I'm on in between with the banner, you know. I'm not saying it's bad as an artifact, but I feel like it's hard to rank it as high compared to the others, you know. So let's just give it a -A, a B+, you know. And that would kind of like get us in the right place here. Moving over to the other ones that we have as rares, we do have what we have left. We have the Traveler's Headband. Defense and HP percentage reduces the wearer's damage taken by a specific amount when under control. Now this is even more unlikely to happen very often. It's very related to arena, to some Feymander, and honestly, it's just not great. Not great. It's so conditional for it to really stand out, you know, that I feel like I don't think so, yeah. Yeah, banner can be used in Grave of Curse. Defense boost is counted as buff, sadly, and it cannot be used in a Grave of Venom because, again, you don't have allies next to you. On Season 2, you will have one ally, so you can say that, okay, using a few melee heroes in there will proc it. That's why I'm kind of like in between with it. I'm not. It's definitely not a full A. It's a -A. You know, is a -A in my opinion. Headband is a Z tier, yeah, is a weak one, yeah. Headband is a weak one. And we have the Horn of the Labyrinth. This one gives you attack and attack speed. When the wearer launches a basic attack, an extra 3% attack up is gained for 3 seconds. The effect stacks up to 10 times. Now, the problem here is that it's for 3 seconds, okay? It's very likely for you to proc an attack, a basic attack, kind of like, I don't know, every 1.5 to 2 seconds if you have increased attack speed, and if you're a Dauntless and you have an ultimate skill that procs 6 times and that counts as a battle skill, then yes, you will be able to use it. But I do find this as pretty decent for Dauntless. The thing is not a general artifact, so it kind of like stands out more for Dauntless heroes. And for a rare one, let's just say you don't really have so much essence to purchase epic ones. You haven't got enough dupes. You know, I feel like it can be a minus B, a C plus. You know, for this one. That's kind of like how I'm feeling about it. A minus B, a C plus. This is the Gyro disc is a bit better. Then we do have a few left right here, which are all epic, and I'm gonna go straight away and put this on the D. So this one, guys, is probably one of the worst epic artifacts. This was added in Season 2, if you haven't seen it in your game just yet, because you're in Season 1. Basically, what this one does, let me just quickly show you. This one will give you defense and resistance as stats, which is nice. I like getting the resistance. But the wearer and the nearby allies gain an additional 60 resistance for 15 seconds. So you start the fight, for 15 seconds you have the extra resistance, that is gone. It's pointless. You don't want to use it after because it gives nothing anymore. So I hate this one. If it should proc with the ultimate, with the battle skill, it should be for the entire duration of the fight or something. As it is, it just sucks. You know, it's definitely not a good one. Not a good one whatsoever. Then we have the Blood Prince. Even for arena, it's not that great, honestly. Blood Prince's Bracelet heals the wearer by a specific amount of the attack after killing an enemy. So this is kind of like a life drinker. The problem that I have with this is that it gives you flat attack and HP percentage, and it's not really increasing your damage to half the firepower to kill somebody, you know? Like, give me attack percentage with attack. It would make more sense to kill enemies, you know? So that will kind of like justify it to use it, you know, on your characters. So we're gonna rate this pretty low, actually. And we're gonna put this on D. I'm on D with it. D plus minus C. D plus minus C, in my opinion, is unique because it can heal your team. But I feel like we have so many healers in the game that this is not that important. It's not that useful, you know. So is a minus C, D plus, you know. Then we have the Silver Star Horseshoe. This gives you attack and crit damage. This is pretty nice, actually. When the wearer launches a basic attack, has a chance of gaining extra attack speed for 10 seconds. Now, my problem with this is that is only a chance for it to proc. The thing that I like about this is that you're getting attack and crit damage. How I mentioned, the more you're going into the game, you're gonna see that you're not gonna have so many artifacts for damage dealers. This was an issue in Season 1 because at the beginning we didn't have the presets to quickly change gear like this on characters. But since that is a thing in the game, this becomes pretty weak sauce, you know? So just for the simple fact that it gives you the right damage stats, I will rank it as a C. But it's not more than that, just because it's a 50% chance only to gain attack speed. And I don't think that's good enough. Let me know what you guys think as well, but I don't personally think that is good enough. The Arcana Cube, we're getting flat attack and HP percentage. When the wearer launches a battle skill, they have a chance, a 60% chance, to gain Enlightenment for 10 seconds. This as well is very weak. when you're building enlightenment characters, you want to have accuracy most of the times. If you're talking about poisoners, if you're talking about different characters that require enlightenment and they don't need the accuracy, you want to have high attack. You don't want to have the HP, and you don't want to have only a 60% chance to proc that and be there for 10 seconds. Yes, is with the battle skill, which is definitely an interesting thing, but I feel like it's pretty weak as an artifact, and we already have so much better options that will do better. So I will put this as a kind of like a C-, D+, you know, C-, D+. Then we have 3 left, guys. We have 3 left, and we are going to be done with this. We have the Wine of Dragon Blood. I actually like this one. You get attack speed. When the wearer launches an ultimate skill, when you max it at level 20, you will have a 100% chance of obtaining 20 extra crit rate for 10 seconds. And this can be triggered only every 15 seconds. So every time you're using the ultimate, basically, you're going to gain 20% extra crit rate, which will allow you to build your characters with 80% crit rate. And you're going to gain a lot of attack speed from here, flat attack. So overall, it's not a bad one. It's not the best one for damage dealers either, you know. I feel like this is kind of like a middle ground with it, and we're going to rank this on a B just because it gives you the right stats, and it can be helpful, you know. It can be helpful, but it's not... Is a B-. Is a B-, this one. Is a B-. Then we have 2 left, and let's go for the Phoenix Feather. Gives you attack and defense percentage. The wearer gains 40% extra attack speed for 10 seconds when their HP is below 50%. And it can only trigger once every 20 seconds. This sucks so bad, man. This literally sucks so bad. Because what am I going to do with that extra attack speed, you know, when my HP is under 50%? Like, is it going to change anything for me? Is it going to do anything really? No. And only triggered every 20 seconds. It has a long cooldown. It doesn't really do anything. I feel like some of these artifacts, they're kind of like having no idea of what they are meant to do, basically, you know. Sigrid does not use enlightenment. No, Sigrid does not require enlightenment. Sigrid does not land poisons. She just deals poison damage. So it's a difference, you know. You have characters that actually land poisons as a debuff and characters that don't, you know. And we have one more, which I don't seem to see on my rare list right here for whatever reason. Either I'm blind, either you can purchase it from the shop actually, and that might explain it. So let's just go right here and pick it up. We have the Elven Hunter's Quiver. This is the one that you're getting for free. You're getting attack and attack percentage. And when the wearer launches a basic attack, gains a 30% chance of dealing derivative lightning damage equal to this much percentage of the attack. The effect can only be triggered once every 6 seconds. So this is actually not too bad, you know. It's not too bad, and it doesn't necessarily need to be on lightning enemies, you know. This is just kind of like what you're getting out of it, and this can give you a bit of extra damage on some of your characters. It is very powerful on characters that have a nice attack speed, but it can only be triggered every 6 seconds. So keep that in mind. What I like about it for a rare one is that you're getting flat attack and attack percentage, you know. So this is actually a fairly decent artifact in my opinion. It's kind of like a B-, a B, you know. And it's the first one you're getting, and it's the free one. But this is how I would do my tier list for artifacts in Dragonheir Silent Gods. This includes only epics and rares at the moment, guys, and we are going to add the legendary ones as well, but I feel like I need to do a separate one for those ones because there are honestly so many. I won't even feed them all on the screen, you know. How is Harpy Tooth S tier? They are actually a few heroes though that do a lot of damage with the passives. And for whoever deals damage with a passive, this is actually a very good one as an epic, you know. You have the bomb and you have that one. So I feel like they they are definitely very solid. Yeah, maybe it's an minus S, you know, A plus, but I definitely think that is a pretty solid one. And I wouldn't necessarily prioritize to buy this first. This is not the order on how we should prioritize to purchase these artifacts, guys, and except the first few ones that I mentioned at the beginning. Then you kind of like need to look on your characters and see what they are doing. But this is actually, in my opinion, a good artifact. You know, few heroes for it, but is definitely a solid one. You know, for the ones that will use it. And that's another thing to put it up because it's scarce. Is a rarity. It's not as common as the other ones. You know. But this will do for epics and rares, guys. For legendaries, how I mentioned, we're gonna do a completely different one. And I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.